Hello, everyone. So I've got a bit of a special treat for you all today. I have Rabi with me, who is an Indian man living in the United States now, who has so much information on the scammers. It's unbelievable. This is amazing, and so I hope you guys are going to find this interview quite interesting because you're going to get a lot more information than I believe anyone's been able to give you on the scammers, their locations, and all sorts of things. So the first thing I'd like to do is say hello, Rabi.
Hi, how are you? My name is Ravi Mehta. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thanks. And how are you?
Oh, I'm just fine, just fine. It's a nice weather here in California.
Fantastic. And before we sort of get into talking about the scammers, if you'd like to just introduce yourself a little bit and say a little anything about yourself you'd like to say.
Yes. Uh, Basically, I am a Punjabi who lived in Delhi, and after my college education came to USA many years ago, 40 plus years ago. And here I worked in California for various tech companies, and you can choose the name. I'll give you 8 or 10 names, and work for one of them. For example, could be Wipro or Tata, or could be EMC, or could be IBM, or could be Dell, or could be uh, uh, network appliance, or could be HP, and so on. Yeah, it's one of those.
Okay, as long as it's a legitimate technical support, we're happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, well, the reason when we first started talking, you told me about this database you'd been compiling and the information that you have on the scammers. So, would you like to just tell me a little bit about that?
So basically, I saw your videos in October last year. That was the first time I became aware of first the IRS scams. And then when I went looked more and more into it and found out that equally damaging were the technical support scams. So I decided that I want to keep track of the people who are running these scams. And it's found out from Microsoft site that 86% of the technical support scams originate from India, and that hurt me so badly because the India I left, 40 years ago or so, was not the same India as as I was observing with these videos which I was seeing, and I could not believe that the young Indians are into this. So, so from there onwards, I started keeping track of uh, the callers and which area they are calling from, what's their accent, and just whatever I could find the information about the scammer, especially not so much about the scammer, but the organization behind it.
Yes, it's just to touch on what you said about it. Do you think like the reason that there is so many of these scams running from India now is due to the fact that so many companies are outsourced and there's so many kind of buildings being left empty with all the phone lines set up and that kind of thing? Do you think it's like a product of how the US and the UK outsourced so much to there that these scams have started running, or is it just some kind of inherent corruption?
Actually, it's the both, but mainly it's just there were so many authentic technical support outsourcing companies based in India. Somehow, um, UK and USA and Australia did not find um, that all outsourcing was good for them.
No.
So they will do some of the outsourcing, and they moved to some to Philippines also. So
Yes.
all that empty space and the infrastructure was there, and so these scammers took advantage of that. Yes.
And you mentioned it's mainly the young people. I know just to mention someone that I talked about a lot last year, Shagar Takar, who has now finally been arrested. He was a very young guy, wasn't he himself? He was only something like 23, and he was the very sort of top person behind the IRS scam at the time. Are these scams mostly being run by sort of youthful people?
Well, the employees are useful around 20, 22, 23, 25, but the employers are, I mean, more mature, and they are sometimes they have big connections with ministers and so on.
Hmm.
And the young folks, I visited Delhi, Bangalore, and Hyderabad,
Hmm.
Kolkata in last 5 years, a couple of trips, and I found that there are two kind of young Indians. The ones who are very sincere with their studies and with their education and with their sport, and they work hard and they get very good jobs, and they do very well. But then there are others who basically uh, do this any kind of shady things, and they do not believe in hard work.
Yeah.
For example, I'll tell you that I met several people, young people, who want to become Bollywood actors, but they never take participate in the school or college theater or drama classes. And then I met some people who want to become cricket players,
Yeah.
and but they don't do the devotion required day in and day out practicing, but they want to become famous. So many of these um, are high school, and they get training for English or American English accent for 3 months and so on,
Yeah.
and then they get jobs, well-paying jobs in these call centers, and they say, why should they go for education when they can make twice the money of uh, young engineers with the 2 to 4 years experience? They make far more money, so why should they do an honest job? So that is the thinking of some of the scammers who I have met, and they disclose that to me.
Do you believe the scammers that say that they were kind of duped into these jobs? Like they believed they were working for a legitimate company and didn't realize until they actually had the job. Do you think that that happens?
For sure, and especially female scammers. Yes, yes, definitely. Uh, but some of them realize it and may leave. Some out of family situation they carry on,
Mhm.
but some love it and because they make big money,
Yeah.
and so they're all kind of, yeah.
Yes, I saw a video, and I apologize. I can't say who it was because I can't remember who uploaded it. But I was watching a video last night, and they were saying that just one tech support company alone was making $700,000 a year. One tech support scam company, and I thought that's incredible money. Now, of course, what they're doing is wrong, but when you're getting paid that kind of money, it must be quite hard to turn away from.
Yeah, these scam company employers, they make good money. I typically, let me give you an average. There are 50 scammers, 8 to 10 supervisors,
Mhm.
3 managers, and the owners never or very rarely show up. They never show their faces there. So those kind of companies make 140 to $150,000 a month.
I mean, that is crazy
Yeah,
money, isn't it? I
yeah,
would,
that's crazy. Yeah.
you could not saying that it makes it okay, but you can almost to an extent understand why people would not want to leave a job like that. But that's why it's more important to raise so much awareness of these scams. Because although I guess most of the people, such as yourself and people that watch these videos, we're aware of these scammers, but there's still a huge percentage of people that don't understand, and especially with the tech support, a lot of people don't really understand about their computers, especially elderly people. So that's why that one remains so successful. But to come back to what you're saying about the IRS scammers, what I can never get my what I can never really understand or get my head around is that it's such a cruel way to take money from people to scare them into it, and yet it's. I suppose to you and I, these people have very clear Indian accents, but to people perhaps that have not spoken to many Indian people throughout their lives, they don't realize, and they just assume that these people are Americans. But to me, it's just shocking that the IRS scam could ever get anyone to do it. To mention the grant scams as well, I guess with that one, it's similar more to like the Nigerian or the African 419 scams, because they play on people's greed. You say, okay, you're going to get $9,000, you have to pay 300, and people don't really think about how something that's too good to be true normally isn't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So, another thing is that that um, for IRS, initially they were targeting immigrants, Indians who and Pakistanis who have settled in USA, but they are newcomers. And
Ah,
there is one Indian in a California city called Hayward, California. It's in Northern California.
right.
That Indian gentleman lost $123,000 over a period of 6 months. They kept on going after him.
That's sickening. That's terrible.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I mean, so it's not because I know that to mention Scambaiter again, he first started making money by doing a medical email scam within India itself. So it's not like these people, because I've spoken to a few who have said, well, we don't care about taking money from you because you're from the US or you're from the UK, but it's not like these people are differentiating between your nationality. I mean, not that it makes it better or worse either way, but
Yeah.
that so they're targeting people from their own countries, and then I suppose those people, especially if they're newly arrived expatriates in that country, they're not going to question those people. You hear authority, and like you said, a lot of Indian people, especially ones that I've spoken to, they are very sincere, and I hope you don't take this as an insult, but I think to an extent they can be a little bit naive.
Yes, that's right. They are naive and they are afraid of the law and the police and so on. So when they come here, they want to be good citizens,
Mhm.
and so they are duped by these IRS scammers. Yes.
Yes, I mean that's why I had such an obsession with the IRS scam, because I mean they're all despicable, but I found it the most terrible because they're using a mixture of kind of fear and pretend authority to steal money from people, which
Yeah.
is rather shocking. Um,
Yeah.
and I just sometimes I get the impression when I'm speaking to them that they don't really give a thought to how what they're doing affects people's lives, and not necessarily just on a monetary level, but on a physical and emotional level as well.
Yes. So another bad trait about Indian scammer, whether the IRS or tech support scammer, is that not only they steal money, but somehow the language is so filthy. I went to Delhi and Mumbai and Calcutta, but not so much in Bangalore.
Right.
They and also Hyderabad. The young folks are not the way 30, 40 years ago. They are very abusive. Women are less abusive, but sometimes they can be also abusive, which was unheard of in my days.
Yeah.
That is very hard to take. Very hard to take. Yeah.
Well, yes, I can understand. At the same time, I think it's a good thing that women are hopefully being treated more equally, but it's a bad thing this might be a reflection of that. But I mean, I spoke to a woman just 2 days ago, and she had a very filthy mouth. But I must admit, I probably started that conversation. To be honest, I'm not always the nicest to them when I speak to them, but yes, I think. Some of the insults they say can be absolutely shocking, but my kind of modus operandi is fight fire with fire, and so I'll be just as mean in my insults back to them. But to come back to, because when we first started talking, you actually had information on the addresses of where some of these scams are based. Would you be willing to explain how you obtained that information?
Oh, sure. So basically, I called a IRS scammer, and then he abused me because he knew that I was from India, and then I disclosed to him, and I started talking to him in Hindi, and then he disclosed that he is from a North Indian state called Nagaland.
Mm-hmm.
So so basically, somehow he by mistake gave him his mobile phone number,
Oh,
which was a USA number, but the call, Vonage, right?
yes.
It was a Vonage number. So basically, I called him a couple of times and he would drop the call. But one time he did not drop the call. And then I got to know his real name and then some of the things he likes and so on. Then I got his Facebook. And also illogical Lupita, right?
Yes, of course. She's one of my good friends. Yes.
Yeah. So Lupita's message, I checked Lupita's videos, and I put two and two together and found out um, 3 or 4 Facebook uh, profiles of these people. And then I found out their friends, and then I found out that almost all of them come from northeastern states of India, which are tribal states. And some of the names are Nagaland, Assam, Tripura, Meghalaya, and so on. So one thing with them is common with the northeastern states is they were backward states as listed, they call scheduled or listed or scheduled, as Indians call it, or Britishers call it. So the Indian government gives them special privileges for education and jobs. So these young people from these states go to New Delhi and Calcutta for education and also for jobs. So all the Facebook friends, there were 37 of them. I traced that they worked for call centers in and around Delhi, Noida, Gurgaon. These are neighboring towns, by the way. Yeah. And so basically, um, they had 2 or 3 things in common. The looks were had Oriental features, and number 2, their English was the language they learned from the birth. And number 3, I do not know why they love Korean culture, Korean hairstyle, Korean music, kimchi, and so on. And so and Korean dances. So that way I was able to find out more about that. And then I read a book about migrant workers in Delhi. I read it online, Google Books. And there they show the plight of these workers. They go to Delhi, look for jobs. They are paid half the salary of the people we call them Delhi walas, the ones from Delhi.
Yeah.
And they are exploited because female and male live together. So their rents they pay, the rents are double than the normal local people pay. And they are kicked out because whenever they feel, they call the police and they harass them and so on. So these guys and the gals work in call centers. They work in beauty salons and also in interior design. And many of them go to Delhi University also, by the way. And so that's how I found out those 37 scammers, all belonging to northeastern Indian states.
And to address what you mentioned about these, I don't think I can pronounce how you said it, but what you said about what these people were from Nagaland and Assam, the rest of India, think of them. I'm really sorry, I can't pronounce the word, but to try and explain to people listening, it would be similar. I might not be correct in this, but similar to what we would have said about having what India had a few years ago, a caste system. And the people that would be thought of as lower in society. Would that be correct to say?
A slight modification. So they are not untouchables at all.
Right.
They are backward states, we call them, or tribal states. And so they needed encouragement. Mahatma Gandhi wanted to give them special privileges so they'll come and assimilate with the Indian society in general, just like what he did for the untouchables.
Okay.
So that's a legacy from Mahatma Gandhi.
Okay, I mean, well, that's a good thing that people from all states should be thought of as equal. But it's a shame that it seems to be the majority of those people that go and become scammers. And I suppose, as you mentioned, is that because they are cheaper to pay as workers? Because I'm assuming the guys who are, the employers who run the scams are probably come from wealthier backgrounds.
Yes, established. Many of them are, Punjabis. Some of them we call them Bania, the Guptas, and so on. The established businesses. They have a bigger clans, and they have lots of operations going on. So this is one of the operation. By the way, these people are called in Delhi. They are despised, and they are given a name Chinky. These northeastern Indians.
Right.
They call them Chinkies in a despising way, by the way.
Is that because of their features looking
Yes,
Chinese? Right. Yes.
yes,
Yeah. Uh,
yes, yes, yes.
oh, yes. It's similar to Britain in the 80s when it was okay to say if you were getting food from the Chinese restaurant, people would say, "We're going to get a chinky."
Yes,
Obviously, that's something which very gladly now is we don't say anymore because it's
yes.
not a polite thing to say. Um,
Yeah. Well, when it comes to the politeness, that's missing with scammers. They will call them chinkies, and they will use the N word for the black folks in the West, and so on. So they have no such you know.
yes.
I say
Do you think with because I on a call I made recently, they repeatedly called me the N word. Of course, I didn't find that offensive to me personally, but I think to people listening, they would. I mean, it's a word I don't like people using because people do get offended by it, and it's quite strange that they're so quick to use racist
yeah.
slurs. But I guess that's part of the culture, as you said, of these younger people that are not particularly respectful. As you said, I hope you don't mind me mentioning that you're an elder gentleman, and the way this guy spoke to you, he clearly was not showing any respect to his elders when you spoke to him.
That's right. Um, yeah, definitely. On the other hand, when I was in Delhi, I met many people who are very polite, very young men, very polite. But then there were others who I would overhear them. For example, there is a small accident, let's say with a scooter or a car,
Mhm.
that will ultimately lead to abuses and fights and so on. A small accident in with the car, a dent in the car,
Yeah.
you will just cannot bear to hear what they say, and then they start fighting. They lose their temperament so fast. It's shameful.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the accidents are quite. I've been to India, admittedly only to Goa, but we the accidents are quite a regular occurrence, aren't they? Because there's so much traffic on the roads. It's not really an unusual thing to happen. Um, I wanted to mention as well because you were saying about the people sort of having Chinese features, and I've had quite a few videos where the people have said, "Oh, this scammer sounds like he's Chinese." Is that because do you think, or in your opinion, is that because he's from somewhere such as Nagaland, or do you think there's actually people in China running these scams as well?
Oh, no, no, not in China. They are they are these Northeast Indians. Yes,
Ah,
exactly.
so it's
Yes,
not just their features, but their accents can also sound. Because
right.
a few of them have actually tried to say to me that they are Chinese, but I think that's kind of deflection. Like a lot of them will say they're in Pakistan, and I know that's because a lot of them don't like the people in Pakistan. Um,
Yeah.
I also get a lot of people, and I understand it's kind of a pride thing because these are probably Indian people who are very proud, and they say these scammers are not in India; they're in Pakistan. And I, I have to always I'll send a link to when they got arrested in Thane, and say, well, this is where they got arrested. I'm not denying. I'm sure some of the scams may well run from Pakistan, but
Yeah.
the majority seem to be coming, as you said, from Delhi, and most of the people, I'm assuming from the information you've given me, are these people from the northeast states in India.
You are talking about just the IRS. Technical scams, generally the Northeast Indians do not participate typically. It's just that the IRS scam, because they have from birth they start learning English, and but they do not have any other technical skills in general. Of course, there are exceptions. So the IRS scams, yeah, you will see, but the technical scams are in these cities, by the way. Hyderabad,
Yeah.
Ahmedabad,
Hyderabad
Kolkata.
is Hyderabad is. Am I correct in saying that is Pakistan?
No,
No.
that's
Oh.
another Hyderabad. This is
Ah.
Indian Hyderabad. It's
Okay.
in South India, and it
Ah.
has a rich history. Kohinoor diamond came from there, by the way.
Right.
Kohinoor.
Okay. Right. Okay. So it's still in India, but yes. Sorry, I wasn't wrong in saying there is a Hyderabad in Pakistan also. Uh,
Yes.
yes. Okay. That's why. Sorry, I'm confused. I'm not very good with
I
geography.
know. So Hyderabad is very famous. One of the Maharajas had 40 Rolls Royces in the previous century. It has a lot of history and culture behind it. And so Hyderabad, and by the way, Bangalore, which is like Silicon Valley of India, is in south. There are very few scammers.
Right.
But as you go up north, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Kolkata, and then let me give you some names in North Indian: New Delhi, Jaipur, Noida, Gurgaon, a town in Punjab called Mohali,
Right.
and a town in the hilly area called Dehradun. So technical scams are happening in these cities. And the sad news is that before the call centers were on an average 50 employees, but there are what I call them mom and pop call centers are springing up or mushrooming
Yes.
in Delhi, especially South Delhi, West Delhi, and Northwest Delhi. 4 or 5 people scam call centers are springing up. That is very disheartening.
Do you think as well for especially yourself having a background working for tech companies, and as you said, there's a place that's like the Indian equivalent of Silicon Valley. Do you think these scams are now making it difficult for honest people or honest Indian people who are running honest technical support? Now people are not going to trust them because of the amount of people running scams that are so similar to their actual legitimate companies.
Oh, for sure. Only if you read yesterday's New York Times, there's a very good, honest outsourcing company called Tech
Yeah.
Mahindra. They are laying off 8% of their workforce. There was one gentleman they named. He had 11 years of solid experience, and they let him go. So there could be other reasons, like automation and so on. But I have a feeling this is my personal feeling that one reason is the loss of confidence. But I could be wrong there.
Well, yes, but if it is coming as a direct consequence of scamming, then it's quite a terrible thing that honest, hardworking people are losing their jobs because of the bad reputation that scammers are giving to people. It's very sad, really.
That is really sad because I spent quite a bit of time in Bangalore and Hyderabad, and people are so sincere. Young people, 22, and they work, 10 hours, 12 hours, and they are so devoted to work. Just unbelievable how good they are.
Yes.
Uh, com- you know, Yes, just yeah.
I mean, when I was in Goa, I met so many lovely people who were just so sweet and so kind, and would have bent over backwards to help you as well. We had a taxi that was always parked outside our house, and because he was so nice, our hotel, sorry, we always went to the same guy, and he was just on our last night there. We drank. Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember what the drink is in Goa. It's a very famous drink. It's made from something, and it's very,
Uh,
very strong. Uh,
Something like I'm forgetting. It's like tari or something like that with the
it's like a
tari.
it's like a clear
It's
drink.
coconut.
It's very cheap, but very strong. And
Yeah, it's from coconut. It's from
yes,
coconut.
that's the one. And we sat and drank that
Tari.
together, and he was just a really, really nice guy. And I really hope that people, when they listen to like the videos that I make, they don't start assuming that this is how all Indian people are. You have to understand that, as we've stated, this is just a select few people, and even some of these people are getting into the jobs almost by accident. Uh,
Yeah.
but
Mm. Go
to
ahead.
oh sorry to ask you something a little
Yeah.
bit darker. Do you think that because I've had some comments, and I don't know whether there's truth behind it or not, and I would like to think there's not, but do you think, to give you a scenario, say someone walks into this job assuming it's an honest job but then realizes it's not, is it possible for them to just put their headset down and walk out, or do you think they would be putting themselves in danger by doing so?
No, I think only 10 days ago, one of the videos one of your friends made, there's a gentleman, he disclosed his name. His name was Shahid, and he worked in Dehradun, and he says he's not going to come the next day. And truly, I called, and the lady there who answered, I said, is Shahid, is Shahid there anymore? She said, no, he left. So I think people do leave.
Okay, so when they say, so when, I mean, I think some of them just say to me they're going to leave to get me off the phone, but do you think there's a particularly dark side to these scams? For example, I really want to, when I have the money, I would love to fly there and try and confront some of the scammers head on. But do you think I would be putting myself in physical danger?
Yeah, you know why? Because the scammers themselves are they are harmless.
Yeah.
It's the gang, the gang which runs it. They yeah yes, definitely. You have to be very cautious. And by the way, the I found out the scam companies in Jaipur. Are
Mhm.
you familiar with Jaipur? It's a we used to call, it's called also Pink City. Is very historical, not too far from New Delhi.
I've heard
Thus,
of it, but I'm
yeah.
not particularly familiar with it.
So there are companies uh, who I can give you some of their product names.
Mhm.
Systweak, thephonesport.com, Systweak, and so on. They have financial operations. They have open pit mining. They mine for the marbles and granite, and they do illegal mining. So they have lots of different operations, and the operations are all run by a clan. Meaning their uncles, their distant cousins, and so on. They stay within the clan and they run these operations.
I see. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, the scammers themselves, I think you can almost tell by speaking to them, they seem fairly harmless. I did have a guy the other day that trying to claim he had killed two people, but I have a feeling
No,
he was just trying to scare me. Um,
no, they are very timid. They are mostly timid. They're harmless. Yeah,
yes, but it's the people at the top, I suppose,
yeah,
that see.
yeah.
I mean, I would love to just try and slip in and get a day in one of the call centers and see what happens, but. Yes, that's a much bigger plan for some time further in the future. But the information that you're obtaining, Rabi, is fantastic. Like I don't know how you managed to get your hands on so much information, but to be able to get people's and the work you're doing behind the scenes, I must say, is absolutely incredible. Like the fact you're following up on someone's scam call just to see whether the guy really leaves or not, and especially with the knowledge you have, which is much greater, I would say, than certainly myself or any of us scam baiters, then you can do a lot more help stop these scams, I suppose, than we can do, rather, because all we really do is try and waste their time. But what you're doing is something that's hopefully going to provide, in the long term, a means to an end, or at least to getting some of these companies shut down.
Yeah, yeah. The good thing is that I have a decent knowledge of Bengali, Punjabi, Hindi, Urdu, and little bit of Gujarati. And also know the culture and who behaves which way, and so that helps.
Yes, for sure. But it's fantastic that you're using it for such a great cause, and that you're being able to follow up on these things. And it seems you're doing quite a lot that people aren't even aware of. That's probably a lot. It's going to have a lot larger impact than us as scam baiting as a community are being able to do. So I just want to say to congratulate you on that, because it's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think we've more or less covered most things. Although it's probably as soon as we finish, I do apologise. There's some kind of festival in my town today. Well, it runs for a whole week, so if there's background noise, I do apologise. I think they're just starting up the music for the evening. But I think we've more or less covered most things I wanted to talk about. But if there is any things, then hopefully we can have another chat and record that again. And if there's any more information or anything else you'd like to discuss, then it'd be fantastic to speak to you again in the future.
Sure, we will do that.
Fantastic. Well, I guess that just leaves you to say thank you so much for dedicating your time to talk to me, Rabi. It's been an absolute pleasure. And hopefully you and I together will be able to do something with that information that you have. I really hope we'll be able to bring some of these scammers down and stop more people scamming, because I think we're both, although in very different ways, we're both working towards the same cause. So thank you so much.
Thanks to you. Thank you so much too.
Okay, Rabi. Well, yeah, thanks again, and thanks for joining me. And hopefully we'll speak again soon. And thank you everyone for listening. I hope you found this interesting and as enlightening as I have, and this information can help you in the future. So thanks so much, and bye everyone.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like. Remember to subscribe for more scam baiting, scam news, and taking the piss out of scammers. Follow @Direct Scammers on Twitter for the latest scam telephone numbers. Remember to protect yourselves and stay safe.